My name is Theo Petricevic. I'm leading acceleration programs and digital partnerships within the innovation team at the UNDP Istanbul Regional Hub. It is really my great pleasure to welcome you to the launch event of the Blockchain Academy. I think this is like a pioneering initiative when we are talking about the blockchain education. It's powered by UNDP in partnership with the Algorand Foundation and with invaluable support from the UNDP BERA and Istanbul Regional Hub teams and resources. So today we are starting exciting journey for all of us that we think will bridge the gaps in blockchain knowledge and Web3 adoption and integration within the UN ecosystem. We are honored to have a great and inspiring lineup of speakers and panelists today. In the next 1 hour, they will guide us through this vision and highlight somehow the Academy's potential impact on the broader development context. So I would go straight into it. To kick things off, we will hear from two remarkable leaders in the field. First, we have a recorded message from Robert Top, Chief Digital Officer at UNDP, which will be followed by remarks from Stacey Warden, CEO of the Algorand Foundation. So, Robert, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. My name is Robert Opp. I'm the Chief Digital Officer here at UNDP. I'm really sorry that I could not be with you in person today. I have a corporate committee that's scheduled at exactly the same time, and I just couldn't get out of it. If you're attending this webinar, I think you probably already realize and believe in the importance of digital technologies for helping us advance the SDGs. Blockchain technologies are no different. You know, the unique properties of blockchain or distributed ledger technologies can help us strengthen trust and accountability in our work, as well as improve our inclusiveness overall. It makes it important for some of our programs, such as our anti-corruption work or supply chain transparency, carbon credit tracking, or election integrity. We have lots of different areas where blockchain can be applied. And that's why I'm really happy that we're introducing you today to the Blockchain Academy. It's an educational initiative created specifically for the UN. It was developed in collaboration with the Algorand Foundation, as well as the innovation team at UNDP's Istanbul Regional Hub. It represents a significant investment of resources and expertise by those two groups, and I'm truly grateful to them for all the work that they've done to make this happen. We've also now included the Blockchain Academy as part of our overall Digital Academy, which is the collection of different digital and data capacity building initiatives that we have and that are available to you. Okay, so what will it do? Well, the whole idea is that it will help empower colleagues across UNDP, CDF, and UNV to really become proficient in critical blockchain skills. That ideally extends to assessing digital capacities and building proficiency among our government officials that we work with as well. In the first iteration, there will be a few things available, such as customized mentorship, access to blockchain communities of practice within UNDP and the UN Innovation Network, and there will be opportunities as well for acceleration after the academy, so post-academy work. You'll learn more about all of these things over the next hour. The Blockchain Academy is an important part of our work to integrate Web 3.0 technologies across UNDP, as well as the whole UN system. So don't miss this opportunity. I encourage all of you to apply to the Blockchain Academy, expand your digital expertise, and join us on this transformative journey for UNDP and our partners. Thank you so much, and I wish you a great webinar.
Thank you, Robert. Now, Stacey, over to you, our dear partners from Algorand Foundation.
Hi, everyone. My name.
Okay, all right. So, hi, everybody. I'm so happy to be here. The World Bank and IMF annual meetings for the fall were a couple of weeks ago. And these are sort of my people. You know, I'm working in crypto and blockchain now, but I have worked with international organizations in developing countries all my life. And I was at one of these parties there's parties like going on all over town. And I was at one of these parties and I ran into a guy. This guy is very well known, extremely smart, foreign policy kind of guy, works a lot with emerging markets and developing countries. And he says, Stacy, what's up with you? What are you doing? I said, well, I'm CEO of the Algorand Foundation. It's a blockchain. And he was just like, blockchain. I have no idea what that is. Oh my God. Okay. Like I can't talk to you about this now. We're going to have to go together and get a meal. It's like too complicated for me. And he just like fell apart in a puddle, like in front of me. I mean, this guy is like ridiculously accomplished person. And for some reason, this is scary to people. I don't know why, but you guys are going to be on the forefront of understanding how this could be an innovative tool to do the work that you want to do. And that's really the point of this academy. We had a great pilot. I think we had about 35 people in it. And we have learned from that, and we are making this next iteration of it much better. And it was already quite good, I would say, but it's going to be a little bit more tailored to individual needs, and we're excited to do that. We're excited again, of course, to work with Teo again and Bursu and of course Robert on this project. But I think that, there's two things to kind of understand about this. One is that it's an incredible tool, and that tool should be understood, and it should be understood in its most simplistic way, in that it's a database that everybody can kind of write to, and the state of that database updates. That's really all you kind of need to know. You are sending messages back and forth to each other in traditional databases that need to talk to each other. And instead of having to do that, if you send a message, you never know really if the other database got the message, if they're going to do if it's going to do what you told it to do when you sent that message. Now you're all going to be kind of writing to the same database. That's the kind of the technical underpinning of it. And it's quite powerful actually, because if you are all kind of sharing and you can all see the state of affairs, then you can trace things. This is why it's good for supply chain traceability. And because it's all digital, you can make tiny payments. And so it's really good for financial inclusion. It is not controlled by anybody. So it's good for access to capital. Anybody that wants to put up capital can put up capital for anybody else that wants to borrow from borrow that capital. It's very good for understanding kind of the origin and the destination of things. It allows, again, because it's completely digital, it allows for programmable money, they call it, if-then statements around money. It's just a tool, but it's a very powerful tool. And there's not that many things that you need to understand about it. But what you do need is the intuition around the use cases that it's important for, and the ways that you can deploy it, and the ways that it's not good. It's not a solution to every problem, right? So that's kind of like how we are going to build this course. You're going to hear the intuition behind it. You're going to have that hammered into your head over and over and over again. And you are going to hear and have access to real world use cases so that you can see how this is deployed and not deployed, starting, by the way, with the panel that comes right after me. So I could go on. I won't, but I think you're going to be in for a really fun ride, and you're going to have a really good time, and you are going to take away really the key things about this. And when you go to a fancy cocktail party in Washington, you will not embarrass yourselves because you will know what you are talking about. So thanks everybody for coming, and I can't wait to see how this progresses.
Thank you, Stacy. Thank you, Robbie, as well, for setting the stage and somehow emphasizing also the significance of this initiative. I think your insights now will provide a strong foundation for the discussion that we have in front of us. So for our next session, I'm delighted to introduce my colleague, Matt Keller. He is the impact lead at the Algorand Foundation, who will moderate a panel on blockchain's role in the development. So Matt, over to you.
Thanks, Teo. I appreciate it. Thanks for those remarks, Stacy and Rob Opp, my old friend from the World Food Program. It's good to see you even on video. So I think we're gonna touch briefly on this panel on a couple of the topics that I think lend themselves really well to blockchain use in the humanitarian space. with a couple of very specific examples. Then maybe even we will segue into a broader discussion on other uses and then kind of the value of partnership. So just got a text from Gwyn, who can't join, unfortunately, who was the global lead for digital giving. So what I'm going to ask is for Irina and Nigel to kind of take a minute to introduce yourselves, let the almost 300 folks on this call know who you are. And so why don't we begin with you, Irina? Tell us a little bit about yourself, your job at UNDP, and a little bit of what you do.
Thanks a lot, Matt, and it's really incredible to be here with such a huge number of people online. Welcome, everyone. I want to say hi also on behalf of the Istanbul Regional Hub Innovation Team. We are the team behind was one of the UNDP teams that's been behind the organization and setup of this academy, and we really look forward to working with all of you over some of you over the next couple of months. This is sort of one of the instances where we as a team try to not just integrate and experiment with new technologies in our work, but to really try to make sure that both the appetite and the know-how and the partnerships that we've developed over the experimentation we do are actually spread out across the organization, and that we get to learn from each other a lot more in this. My name is Irena. I'm the team leader for innovation in Europe and Central Asia for UNDP. Very happy to be here. Over to Nigel.
Thanks, Irina. Go for it, Nigel.
Thanks, Irina. Thanks, Matt. Very pleased to be here with everybody this afternoon. My name's Nigel Pont. I lead on humanitarian affairs at the Algorand Foundation. I've got a background of over 30 years in humanitarian assistance from the Balkans, the Caucasus, South Asia, the Middle East, and a lot of time in Afghanistan, where I spend a lot of my time these days working with a digital payments platform called HisabPay. So I'm working with both HisabPay, and HisabPay is built on the Algorand blockchain, and with the Algorand Foundation to promote the transition of humanitarian cash transfers from paper to digital to bringing them on chain. And we believe there's a lot of benefits of bringing cash transfers in the humanitarian development, social protection space, bringing them on chain. So that's what I lead on at the foundation, and with HisabPay in Afghanistan. So look forward to sharing more with you as we go through this with Matt.
Thanks, Nigel. You know, that last comment kind of leads me into my first question. And given both your breadth and depth of experience and really truly global nature, Irina, I wanted to ask you about a trend that I think is really interesting for a number of reasons, which is this increase in cash-based assistance away from in-kind assistance to beneficiaries across the UN system, whether it's WFP, UNDP, UNICEF, whoever, and some of the large international NGOs like Oxfam, Save the Children. The movement is toward cash. And my questions are, what are you seeing from your vantage point, and why? And let's leave aside blockchain for now. We'll talk about that in a second. But why is that important on the ground for your beneficiaries and maybe for some of the local economies where these folks live?
Thanks a lot, Matt. Yeah, it's a shame that Bera isn't here. I think they're kind of the most suited for this question. I think it has a lot to do with an increased focus on efficiency and also on empowerment. I think that's one of the things that we are very much increasingly in the humanitarian world focusing. Although we're not a humanitarian organization per se, we do development assistance, but that kind of entire landscape of actors that are working with developing countries, particularly in crisis situations, I think have been moving in this direction. I think one of the kind of parallel trends that we are certainly seeing is sadly the increase in humanitarian need, and we seem to be moving into from crisis to 2 crises to 5 crises at the same time. And what we have seen, though, over many of the most recent crises, if I may say it like that, is really a showcase of the dramatic spread of new technology, and if it's no longer really something that we can say that we have to wait and see what the reach will be, how many people we can actually target in these ways, and so on. There is, of course, enormous space to be filled in terms of divides and access to internet, access to very basic preconditions in many places, but increasingly people are, even in crisis modes, on the move with nothing but their phones on them. So this is where we come to blockchain as well, and that's what we're seeing is that organizations across the board are picking up on this, and it's based on real needs in the field, on the ground, where organizations need to be flexible and effective and efficient and adaptive to different kinds of needs, particularly in crisis contexts. So this is where examples such as, for example, the World Food Programme's the Building Blocks initiative, which is, I think, to date probably the largest application of blockchain in this kind of context. I think right now their website says they're reaching 4 million people across the world, 4 million refugees with different services. This is driven, for example, by or it started at least as a need for coordination in a crisis context, which, as we all know, is an enormous effort that needs to be made when there is a crisis, to make sure that all of these different actors align and that the people who are supposed to be benefiting from something are not, getting 5 of the same thing and none of many other services that are needed. So this is what drove one of these examples. Now, in development, of course, we care about many other things in which blockchain can also help, and this is efficiency, such as transaction costs, time, and so on. This is also, I think, driving some of these broader cash-based movements, but also things like trust, corruption, security, data protection. An important area for blockchain application, where we are reaching people who are beyond the reach of banks. More people, again, have mobile phones than they have bank accounts. So this is something that's been a very clear promise of blockchain from the beginning, right? And also, of course, down the line, it's around market stimulation as well. So blockchain, we see, can help in all of these. What we're currently have in place a couple of partnerships that maybe I'll just touch on a few here, and then we'll move as we continue the conversation to some others. So some of the partnerships around digital payments, specifically, we're working with you guys at Algorand. And your investment, for example, in Hesab in Afghanistan has been particularly important. Right now, this is a platform that facilitates approximately $32 million dollars in transactions per month, and this is in Afghanistan, which is one of the hardest contexts to be working in. And our country office there is working on scaling this as well. I just this morning read an LSE study that was done earlier. It was done, I think, last year, that found a really surprising, even to the researchers, kind of update of these kinds of tools. Is that basically even among the digitally completely illiterate populations, this worked really, really well. 98% of the people that they looked at, and they looked at women in Afghanistan, used the platform without any problems to get access to basic services and to finance, basically. We're working with the Stellar Development Foundation. We're starting now a new collaboration that is around financial inclusion in 16 countries, including the likes of Guatemala, the Dominican Republic, Lebanon, and so on. And we're exploring a collaboration with Cello on LDCs in Africa. So these are things that are driven. Yes.
I want to jump in for a second, and I want, because your last point on Afghanistan that succeeded your previous points on crises. I just want to I want to jump from there really quickly into that case study in Afghanistan from Nigel, who's a key player in that. And that LSE study that you referenced, I think, is really compelling, because it is all about agency, particularly for women who are safer, where corruption happens less often and there's less violence, that study pointed out. But blockchain in those cases, in crises, is where I want to go to, and I want to go to Nigel on that really quick.
Thanks, Matt. I mean, I think to build on what Irina was saying, we're not only seeing a transition away from in-kind giving to giving in cash, particularly in humanitarian contexts, then we're seeing where digital is possible, let's do digital cash. But then I think the interesting sort of trend that conflates with, or that meets up with, is that the majority of humanitarian crises with massive need that are present now, but also we're seeing coming down the road at us in the future, take place in fragile contexts with really bad payments infrastructure. And I think that in places where payments infrastructure is already working, people have already figured out how to digitize humanitarian payments, social protection payments. But in fragile states, places which don't have good centralized identity solutions, payment solutions, you've got a real problem in sort of the digital public infrastructure that exists in those settings, which means it's hard to digitize humanitarian cash payments. So this is sort of the challenge that we took head on with HisabPay. Because I mean, everybody will be familiar with Afghanistan's 40, 45 years of conflict, political turmoil, economic collapse, and then the recent return of the Taliban to power. So the question for us became, how do we rebuild trust in financial institutions in general, in a cash-based economy where there's very low financial literacy? And so as we were looking at the various technology solutions out there, the first thing that we wanted to make sure was that we had something that was incredibly resilient. It was not going to fail, whatever might happen politically, economically, security-wise in the country. So building on a blockchain, which is a decentralized, distributed ledger with multiple nodes spread around the world, with only needing a phone and an internet connection as infrastructure, that seemed like a great place for us to start. The second thing we really wanted to focus on was fraud transparency and really building trust that the ledger couldn't be screwed around with. Yeah. I mean, how many stories are there out there now of, mobile money networks where the ledgers have not been as trustworthy as they should have been, or banks. And so we know that, nobody in HisabPay, in our team, or anybody at the Algorand Foundation, or anybody on this call is able to change a transaction on the Algorand ledger once it's happened. And so that sort of trust, being able to bring that into the Afghan context, that anybody can have an account which won't be able to be changed, is huge. And then I think then there are a number of features that we want to bring to HisabPay that we have the capability to bring, that we haven't yet been able to do so because of regulatory constraints, particularly from the central bank, which is the regulator in Afghanistan. But we have built the platform so that we're able to provide US dollar accounts to every single individual in Afghanistan. You have a HisabPay wallet. Right now, you just have an Afghani wallet in your HisabPay wallet, an Afghani account on the Algorand blockchain, which has a Afghani stablecoin, which is the main unit of account in HisabPay. We've tokenized the Afghani, but we have the ability to flip a switch and give every single person in Afghanistan a dollar account that can receive funds directly without any intermediaries in Afghanistan in the process. So that would allow, if the regulatory environment would permit, for remittance channels to be opened up, incredibly fast, cheap remittances, and then obviously the aid and trade benefits of that. So we built the infrastructure and we're advocating hard with the authorities. But if we're able to turn that functionality on, it'll be obviously incredibly beneficial. And then also from an inflation protection perspective, you're seeing people doing this with similar types of applications in Latin America, where people are able to convert between local currency and dollar stable coins in their wallets and protect against inflation and store their purchasing power in dollars, convert to local currency to spend locally when they need it, and then maintain their purchasing power in dollars. So these are the features that we have built in the background, and we're hoping to be able to activate them. I think just one other thing to mention. I think it's interesting as we, with this UNDP audience, not necessarily entirely focused on humanitarian cash transfers, is the functionality of smart contracts, which I'm sure we'll learn a lot about during the course of this program, this academy. But the ability to make funds programmable and conditional is also, really powerful in this contract, with this technology. And so I think that's something that's going to be really interesting that a lot of people are exploring in the development setting. How can you program money so that when certain development conditions are met, payments are automatically made out of smart contracts, which enables things to be scaled and the cost to be reduced dramatically for those types of payments. So Matt, I'll stop there and happy to answer any of the questions.
Yeah, that's great. And Arena, just kind of like taking up on what Nigel said, and from your perspective, head of innovation, UNDP is a huge multilateral institution. Those places where crises are occurring, from your vantage point, and where blockchain adds this really strong anti-corruption measure, right? Where the data is immutable, it's traceable, it's transparent. Where, from your vantage point, do you see this being a huge value add in the next couple of years?
Well, look, I hope it will also be a value add for our own operations. To be completely frank with you, I think this is something where we hope to also learn from our kind of programmatic experimentation and take it back to the people that are running the way that we do business, and see where we can maybe sort of make a dent in there as well. But given that we have probably a very wide dispersal of colleagues on this call, maybe we do say a couple of key areas where we are looking at potential impact in areas where UNDP is engaged, and where the likes of UNV and UNCDF will be looking at potential solutions. And these are the areas where blockchain is promising some impact, and where we are looking to engage and to test it out. Of course, the first one is around transparency and accountability, and this immutability of record keeping that you've just mentioned, the issue of corruption, hopefully the issue of trust down the line as well, which is getting kind of more and more an elusive term that's hard to pin down. But this is one of the ways, and there are obviously many governance related applications of this potentially in UNDP as well. The second is around data management and security. So really all areas where the management of sensitive data is involved are critical, and a lot of this happens in humanitarian contexts, of course, where that kind of secure protection against tampering and access and so on is quite important. And third is digital identity. This is an enormous field, and I think we might touch upon it a little bit more deeply as well, where it's really an essential area to facilitate access to basic services for huge numbers of people who don't have access to formal documentation sometimes, who are without legal identity, who can then use this as a way to access rights. And also it's a way in terms of under the identity management and of the platform, we talk about things like making sure that the right recipients get to the right kinds of aid within crises. So this is something that where a lot of work has been done, including what I mentioned by the World Food Program and the building blocks, including a pilot of UNHCR and WFP, which is around the digital identity solutions for UN personnel. This is something that's unfolding as well, and including our own partnership with the Cardano Foundation, where we work on digital identity management for civil society. Particularly in LDCs, this is a very important area that kind of we're working on creating basically an automated engine for a verified database of civil society organizations, where we can then track the development of civil society ecosystems. And in some parts of the world, this is quite important. The next area, as we touched upon this more deeply, is financial inclusion, but not only access to people in need, but also the facilitation of cross-border payments, where these decentralized systems actually reduce cost and also reduce delays in making cross-border payments, which means that we can be more efficient, and we can also ensure more confidence in what we do. And this is something that's also been used across the board, where UNICEF is increasingly providing its cash transfers, for example, in cryptocurrencies. IOM is working on remittances using blockchain. So there's a number of use cases that are emerging in this area. And finally, supply chain management. Of course, this is becoming an increasingly important area in all of aid, where supply chain transparency, supply chain efficiency is incredibly important. This is where all of these traceability initiatives have emerged. So some examples from, or one example at least from the UN kind of ecosystem is our collaboration from UNDP with FAO on the SCALA program, which is on agricultural supply chain, making sure that we can actually trace food products from farm to consumer, which contributes to food safety and food quality. And then finally, of course, we hope that more will emerge through the Blockchain Academy, where we look forward to actually learning from the people that will become part of the ecosystem through this endeavor, and all the people who will take part in the academy, who will learn about applying blockchain, and who will then innovate in their work, which is for UNDP a very wide mandate on human development. So we hope that many more of these areas will emerge, and this is where we really put this engagement with new tech at the core of our work. So
Yeah,
thanks.
thank you for that. And I think, all those topics, the identity piece, which is so big, it runs through so many issues. We're precluded from engaging in civic life and access to health services, everything we take for granted. Supply chain, which is a natural fit for blockchain, which is going to move in that direction very rapidly. So we're out of time. I don't know, Berchu, if you want to allow for any questions from the group, but if not, as Irina indicated, there's a lot that we're going to cover in the academy, including supply chain, including carbon credits, including identity, which is a big piece. So, I encourage all of you to participate and learn about these things, because we believe that it's very relevant to what you do every day, and we thank you for doing that. So, Berchu, over to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Matt. We need to move forward, and thank you, Irena and Nigel, for this, I would say, quite interesting and engaging discussion. For me, it's always inspiring to see how blockchain can redefine the development efforts, initiatives that we are doing on the global level. I would like to encourage you, Nigel, Matt, Doro, all of the experts in the house. As well, we have here colleagues from UNDP CDO. Our colleague Ian is also here, that is running the Digital Academy Digital Fitness Program, to have a look at the Q&A section. There are some questions you can answer for our participants. But now it's time also to move forward. Let's have a in-depth look in the Blockchain Academy itself. We will hear from my colleagues, Doro Ngerli, who is Head of Education and Inclusion at the Algorand Foundation, and Bocha Mavis, who is the Blockchain Academy lead in our team and UNDP RH. So Bocha and Doro, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Theo. So if you could go to the next slide, please. Yes. Okay. So first of all, thank you everyone for joining. It is really very, very nice to see all of you here today. So as the Alternative Finance Lab team at UNDP and also Algorand Foundation, we have been working very hard in the last year to bring you this academy. So today I'm really so happy to share with you what is our Blockchain Academy and then what we offer to you. So let me start with what is Blockchain Academy. The Blockchain Academy is the first ever Blockchain Academy that is specifically tailored for the UN ecosystem. And last spring 2024, we had a beta test with participation of 33 colleagues from 6 UN agencies. For us, it was very important to get feedback from our colleagues across different agencies and departments so that we can develop the best academy that we could offer to you. And with this academy, we want to provide you technical expertise, UN-specific real-world applications, as well as solutions aligned with SDGs, so that you can utilize blockchain technology at your work. And our end goal with this initiative is that we would like to harness your blockchain knowledge and skills so that you can utilize this technology. Next slide, please. And what are the challenges that we want to address with this academy? There are several challenges that we listed here, so I will go with one by one for all of you. So the first one is that there is lack of blockchain knowledge and experience with Web3 technologies. Many UN personnel and our partners are actually lacking the necessary knowledge and understanding of the blockchain technology. Most of us think that blockchain is just crypto and nothing more than that. But the reality is not this, and we would like to teach you this with this academy. And due to the lack of knowledge about what blockchain can do, we also have low level of Web3 adoption. Therefore, most colleagues are really hesitant to utilize Web3 technologies. With this training program that is specifically tailored for you, that is what we want to do. I'm sure that most of you have seen like online courses that are blockchain courses, but maybe some of them are so technical, some of them are not fitting to the UN ecosystem. With this blockchain academy, we tailored specifically so that you can use the knowledge and the skills in relation to our needs and also the operations within the UN ecosystem. So our academy is not only for UNDP, UNCDF, and also UNV colleagues, it is for all UN agencies. And as we experience it, there is lack of funding to support such initiatives that are more innovative and maybe something new idea that comes to your mind, you really cannot find the funding to use it as a sandbox. With this academy and also our post-acceleration funding, we would like to provide this support. So with this academy, we wanna like address like all the challenges, and we wanna provide you an opportunity to learn about blockchain and then develop use cases which you can then later pilot your projects. Now I will give the word to Dora to explain us the detail about our training materials and also the curriculum. Over to you, Dora.
Thanks, Borchu. So thanks again to everyone. Big shout out to Theo, Borchu, and Robert, who've been leading this initiative. And at the foundation, it's been really super joyful project to work on this together for, I think we kicked it first off last summer. So thank you for this. And thanks for everyone for being here and asking so many thoughtful questions. So I really appreciate the interest. So we're getting a lot of questions about, what does this academy entail? So what we're doing is we're pairing recorded lectures with live discussions. So you're not on your own sitting at your desk in your office, just watching a bunch of videos and you have no one to discuss this with and ask questions about. And we will do three different kinds of live events. So we will do live overviews on impact-focused topics such as payments, supply chain, carbon credit markets, like those big core topics of the course. And in these live discussions, you will meet not only Matt and me again, but you will also be in front of entrepreneurs from our ecosystem. So these are people who have figured out the solution on blockchain, and they go through exactly how they build, let's say, a solution for delivering humanitarian aid on blockchain, how to trace sustainably sourced goods on chain in a transparent and immutable way. So you will get to meet all these entrepreneurs and you can ask them questions. On top of that, we will also have regular office hours with our developer relations team. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with this job group, developer relations people are teaching coders how to code. They teach them how to build on blockchain. So for those of you who are a little more technically inclined, or you really want to get into the nitty-gritty and you have some questions that you maybe don't want to ask in the group or you don't want to ask online, come to those office hours and ask the team and me. We're happy to answer that. So overall, we have really a nice hybrid format that should distinguish itself from a normal self-paced sort of lonely online course, but really manifest the learning and make sure you retain that knowledge and can then also apply it in your professional setting. So as Stacey outlined in the beginning, we actually reformatted the course a little bit. So instead of having all modules required, we have 4 mandatory modules. So in these modules, you will learn really what is blockchain about conceptually and technically. And then we will go over those big use case groups that are relevant for development work. So that is decentralized identity, decentralized finance, blockchain for financial inclusion, supply chain. And then we'll also look at tokenization, right? So for example, can you tokenize real estate? Can you tokenize another asset? How does that reflect in development work? And we also go into the sustainability area by looking very closely at carbon credit market. When we go through all the content, mandatory or optional, what we always do is we tie it into the SDGs. So we show you exactly how does the content, how does the application, and how does the technology overall fit into the SDGs. So you can make that argument really strongly when you go out and innovate in your local area. Then we also have the optional modules. So I believe we said we'll do how many modules, Borchu? I think we talked about it earlier, but I don't want to say the wrong number.
2 modules optional.
Modules. So you want to do a 6 module total for mandatory and pick at least a minimum of 2 optional modules to get your credential. And you're obviously welcome to do all of them. I think personally, we've seen a lot of interest in a variety of topics. But after the 4 mandatory modules, feel free to dive in deeply into any of the topics that you want to learn more about and have specific questions about. And after completing 6 modules at least or more, you can claim your credential. It will be an NFT, and you'll also get a normal certificate. So we'll allocate a total of like 10 to 12 weeks, depending on your schedule, and about 3 hours per week for that. I'll leave it at that for now, and I'll hand back over to Borchu. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dora. Next slide, please. So in this academy, we don't want to only provide you the technical knowledge. We also want to further support you with our post-academic acceleration and funding. So whenever you join the academy, after you complete the academy, you will also unlock access to our acceleration program that provides you mentorship, technical expertise from the blockchain experts, with of course like Algorand's ecosystem, as well as the other experts, and including our experts from UNDP. At the same time, we would like to be the matchmaker. Let's say that you have a project coming up from the academy, and that project fits to one of our blockchain partners. So in this regard, we will be the middleman to connect you to our blockchain partner so they can take your project further with funding as well as the technical expertise. So we really don't want this academy to be only like a capacity building program. We really want you to also try and use this academy as a sandbox for you to make your projects come to life. Next slide, please. And what is the offer that we have? And I will just like summarize like everything we just discussed up until now in few words. So we are providing you flexible learning options, self-paced and live sessions. The self-paced ones are those that are going to be hosted on Quantum, meaning that you can watch them whenever you want. And live sessions will be there for you to engage with our speakers, as well as to hear from UN cases and also from our experts. So we want to make it more alive with these live sessions. The second part that we offer to you is to access to the world-class blockchain experts and mentors. As Dora mentioned, there will be mentors coming and also having the calls with you that you can ask directly your questions about the specific topic that you want to discuss. Same like also from like Algorand ecosystem as well as other blockchain partners. We are having tailored sessions and workshops. So these sessions are specifically tailored for the UN ecosystem as mentioned before. And we also provide you mentorship and networking opportunities. Since you will have access to talk with like other colleagues that might be working in the same areas as you, and you will also have access to our different experts in the field. And you will have also access to real-world use cases from the UN context. So we really want to showcase you the UN application of the blockchain technology so that you can see in real life how our colleagues from other agencies as well as UNDP uses the blockchain technology. And as mentioned earlier, we will provide the post-academic acceleration and funding, and you will have access to a community of practice where we will gather all your developed projects in which you can talk to each other and take it further your projects. So our academy is really very thought through. We went through it for the last 1 year with our partners and also like our colleagues from different like agencies. So we really want to like offer you a whole package that you can benefit fully. So now I will give the word to Dora to tell us about what is the eligibility criteria and what's the timeline. Over to you, Dora.
Thank you. So we got a lot of questions. I think some of them on the Q&A tab, and I received some questions ahead of time via email and LinkedIn. So in order to be eligible for this academy program, you need to apply, and I posted the link a few times in the chat. So you can't just sign up. You actually have to apply, and you have to be selected. In order to be eligible, you need to be an employee of UNDP, UNCDF, or UNB. So you need to be a staff in any of these three organizations. We really want to make sure that you don't only want to dip your toe into blockchain, but actually are ready to implement blockchain applications in your current work setting. And time-wise, I mentioned that earlier, we think about 3 hours per week, considering you really do all the videos, you follow some of the instructions, you read the additional material depending on the module. So 3 hours is generous to really allow you to sufficient time. And then last but not least, you need support and approval of your supervisor to participate in the academy and allocate the mentioned working hours towards the program. If you have any other more detailed questions about your individual specific case, feel free to email Borcho or Theo, and they can help you with that.
Great. Thank you, Doro and Borcho. For this, I would say, really detailed overview. Maybe you can go over the timeline and yeah, ask people to register. We pointed a couple of times already the registration link in the chat.
Yes, of course. So we just launched the call for you to apply to the academy. I put it on the chat, and the open call will last until 6 December. So please apply before 6 December. And after it, before we go to Christmas break, 16 December, we will let you know through email if you're selected or not. And then we will kickstart our academy 15th January. And in the same day, we will also do like onboarding. In this onboarding meeting, we will tell you all the timelines and then where you can find the academy and like all the details. So you will hear from us by 16th of December. And then after 15th of January, we start, and the training will go until April. Then we will have our graduation event. After that, you will have access to the community of practice. So please apply via the link, and we are looking forward to receiving your applications. Yes, you can apply with the UNDP account. There is like in the like open call link, you will see an application form. In the application form, you will see the questions. You can insert your emails, but like we strongly suggest you to use your UNDP emails so that we can verify you are specifically working for UNDP, UNCDF, and UNV. And just to make sure, it is for like all personnel. You don't have to be this stuff to be able to apply. You can also be consultant. You could also be like NFCA, IPSA. That doesn't matter. Yes, over to you, Theo.
Thank you, yeah, again, Borcho, and thank you, Doro. Yeah, I participated in the beta testing of this academy, and I think that academy content in the program that the Algorand Foundation developed truly offers an exciting and robust program for our colleagues in the UN system, as Borcho and Doro explained, followed by the community of practices and acceleration programs. I think we can really do a great job within the UN development initiatives. Now we have like 10 minutes left for Q&A session. This is also the chance for you to ask the questions and maybe gain further clarity about the academy and what lies ahead. I see that some of you already posted the questions in the section, and that some of my colleagues already answered this. I'm not sure if we have the ability on this Zoom call to raise your hand and drop the questions directly into the plenary, but if not, the speakers and panelists, I would also welcome you to select the question from the Q&A section and maybe provide an answer here live.
Theo,
yeah.
there's a question from Firas asking about written approval from the supervisor. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, from our point of view, you don't need that. Of course, you need to inform your supervisor that you will take the education program for next couple of months. but also try to talk in your teams about your long-term journey. So like Burcu and Doro introduced and explained, we would like to support you and your teams within the UN agencies to not only further develop the idea, but also to test and validate the solution that you are developing and start the initiative. For this, we are still building the ecosystem of supporters. So our idea is during the academy, you will gain a huge support from the Algorand Foundation experts and Algorand community. After you will join the community of practice, we will try, beside the Algorand Foundation experts, also onboard other blockchain communities in order to support your initiatives. Regarding the funding, we are as well working on this. Of course, we would like to see valuable initiatives developed during the academy also being implemented. But yeah, this is something that we will introduce next year after the first iteration of the academy will finish. So yeah, just use the same procedures like you're doing always when you're participating in some internal educational programs.
Yes. Maybe like I just went through the questions, and there are several questions that are repetition like all the time. So maybe like I can answer to those. The course is not paid, so you don't have to pay anything. When you are selected, it is free of charge at Quantum Learning. And we also see some questions with regards to the background of the participants. We do not expect you to come from IT background, data experience. It doesn't have to be related to that. You can come from any department. You can come from like HR, procurement, supply chain. That doesn't really matter for us, because we know that you can utilize blockchain technology different like sectors and departments. So it is not really a must for us. But if you want to check the eligibility criteria, I once more put on the link the open call text where you will see the answers. And one more question that I have seen around is that you don't have to be the staff member. You can have different modality of the contracts to apply. So it doesn't really matter if you're let's say like you're a consultant, you're an NFSA, IPSA staff member. That doesn't matter for us. So please check the link for more questions. And whenever you have more questions, we also put our emails there so you can ask us directly questions. And the last question that I want to answer is some are related to UNVs. As you know, there are two types of UNVs. One are volunteers that don't have like UNDP email, that don't have any kind of a relation to UNDP in terms of being a volunteer. Those, unfortunately, we cannot accept. You should have an access to the Quantum platform. If you have an email and you have an access to the Quantum platform, we can then accept you to the academy. But please, like whenever you have specific questions, you can come and ask us all the time.
Yeah, maybe I'll just follow up on this because I saw a lot of questions if other UN agencies are eligible to apply or when they will be eligible to apply. So we are continuously opening the discussions with other UN agencies to work with them on the academy program. We are still not sure, when the blockchain academy will be available to other UN agencies. But something that we can do now is in the open call, you have Burcu and my emails, so you can express your interest for participation in this educational program. It would be great, to collect some kind of the list of the interested colleagues from other UN agencies to see then what kind of the potential we can have opening the Blockchain Academy also to other UN organizations. Okay, I think we still have here Robbie, Nigel, Irena, Matt. So maybe if some of you wants to take any question in the Q&A that still isn't answered, because I see we already answered 30 questions, maybe you can jump here with answering it. Okay, we have one question regarding the timeline. When the applicants can expect to hear back regarding the acceptance?
Yes, you will hear back from us by 16th December. We will let you know if you're selected, and in the same email, we will let you know the next steps. But the academy starts January 15, and the onboarding at the same day.
Great. I see in the chat that some of colleagues already applied. That's nice. That's good. Let me see if there is any other question that left unanswered. What are the selection criteria? This is something that Butch is answering, and it's part of the call. So I think we answered all of the questions in the Q&A. We will wait for 30 seconds. If there is any other urgent question still in the writing mode.
Maybe just
How
to
many
add,
places are open?
There were many questions regarding a limited number of participants and criteria. So far, our main criteria is first come, first served. So reserve your space as soon as possible. And then our target number, as it was mentioned, is around 250, but it might be slightly changed depending on the interest. And but for now, let's just see how many do we have interested on board. There were also questions regarding when are we repeating for the next time. That's also something to consider, and based on the interest and lessons learned from the first one, maybe in 6-7 months. But let's for now, if you are interested, if you are motivated to see how does it incorporate into your work, just apply now, and then let's get it rolling.
Thank you, Robbie. Yeah, we have questions how the academy structures in terms of delivery of the modules, etc. Thank you, Dora, for reply. We will, you can also see the recording once again, but we will provide more information also during the call. If you have any specific questions, you have emails stated in the call for applications, please write to us. Okay, I think
one of our colleagues raised his hand. Maybe I can give him the word so we can also hear one of the questions live. So I can see it is called Adam Khalil. I will allow you to talk now so you can ask your question.
Okay, let's take one question.
Yeah, exactly. Let's take one. So we can also hear from our participants.
Adam?
Okay, it was a mistake. Okay, no problem.
That was a mistake. Okay, cool.
No problem.
Perfect time to conclude everything. So yeah, thank you all for really insightful questions in the chat and also for your participation. I would like to thank again Algorand Foundation and the team behind the Blockchain Academy, Doro and Matt, and thank you, Stacy, for having a vision that this could be a really impactful project within the UN ecosystem. Thank you, Irena, as well as our innovation team at the UNDP Istanbul Regional Hub. Thank you, Nigel, for the participation. Thank you also, CDO team, being here with us. As we conclude, I will encourage you also, again, to take next steps, to try to register for the academy as soon as possible. As we said, we can only take a limited number of people. Try to explore these transformative modules that were introduced and the topics that will be discussed, and yeah, take part in this I would say groundbreaking initiative. So thank you for joining us. We are looking forward to seeing your applications, and I'm especially excited on your blockchain-based development projects that will be part of the academy, and after that, the community of the practice. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks you.